Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is a profile on Reverend James Thomas, the pastor of the Jefferson Street Baptist Church in Nashville, Tennessee. And of course, Reverend Thomas, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Oh, thank you.
And to tell you how delighted we are to have you. I think some of our audience might remember Reverend Thomas, I guess back in 1985, 86. We had an opportunity to talk to you on one of these shows, and you gave us a lot of information. And that's what we want to do today. We call this a profile because we think that you've been here, you've served some 39 years.
Yes.
And it's just about time for somebody to inquire of you as to how all of this started and what eventually led you to where you are today. And let's talk about your background, your education, some of your experiences that eventually got you involved in some of the things that you're involved in.
Well, I was born in Orange, Texas, 1940, and later moved to Beaumont, Texas. And I graduated from high school in Texas. And in 1964, I came to Nashville to go to American Baptist College, got into the movement, and I've been running ever since. Yes.
And so you've been really involved in it ever since. And you've been real concerned, Reverend Thomas, in reference to the least of these. You've really had a career in Nashville, Tennessee. And how did that become?
Well, I've had good people around me. Dr. Kelly Mills Smith, Dogan Williams, Andrew White. Those people nurtured me, and I've always been grateful to God for those lives.
And so and what made you decide to, when you established Jefferson Street Baptist Church, how did that happen?
I was called to Jefferson Street.
I'm not establishing, when you became involved in Jefferson Street.
I was called to Jefferson Street in 1971.
Okay.
They were without a pastor, and they wanted somebody that couldn't preach well, so they called me. And I've been there ever since. They said if I ever learn how to preach, they're going to let me go.
Let you go, and so you've been there ever since.
Ever since.
Very good. And we know that you are a great preacher, Reverend Thomas. We hear you almost every Sunday on the radio and all around town, and people talk about some of your sermons. And so so sometimes you try to diminish your own significance in terms of what has happened. But you've been involved in a lot of things, and I can personally witness to that because I've been there. You know, I've watched it too. You see, and I don't think your hair is any more gray than my hair. You see,
right.
so yes, and we understand that. But you know, Reverend Thomas, you've mentioned some of the individuals, and I think we've seen over the last many years individuals like Reverend Kelly Miller Smith and Dogan Williams, who passed quite recently, and Andrew White. Why don't you make some statements in reference to how you saw and how you met Reverend Kelly Miller Smith?
Well, Kelly Miller Smith, I looked at Dr. Kelly Miller Smith as one of the prince of preachers in Tennessee at that time. I don't think we had a better preacher than Kelly Miller Smith, who could mix and mingle with the high and the low. When Jimmy Carter was elected president, he sent for Jesse Jackson. And Jesse Jackson said to President Carter then, I can't come unless Kelly Miller Smith come with me. He said, because Kelly will interpret to you what I want to say. That's the kind of preacher Dr. Kelly Miller Smith was. Yes.
And he was part of the movement here.
Yes, he was the movement. In fact, at that time, when we wanted some light, we had to look to First Baptist Capitol Hill. It's where everything took place. It's First Baptist Capitol Hill, and we waited for Dr. Smith's directions. Now, when we were marching in the 60s, we had T.C. Vivian, James Bevel, all of those fellows, but Kelly was the key man.
And so everybody, now, what was the relationship with Reverend Smith and Martin Luther King? I understand that Dr. King came to Nashville on a number of occasions.
Oh, yeah, well, Kelly was the key man that could bring Dr. King in. I remember Dr. King coming over to Tennessee State, and during that time we would go to beer giants, we'd go to grocery stores, cafes, and raise money, and put that money in a bottle, and then when Dr. King got here, we brought all that money to Dr. King, to the school, to SU, and I was a cocky freshman then. and Dr. King was standing up there. I just walked up there and grabbed his hand, started shaking his hand.
And so that was the way you introduced yourself to Dr. King. And of course, Reverend Thomas, we're getting ready for our first commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have an opportunity to pick up at that. But that's essentially what we want to hear. Some of the information about some of these individuals we know to be significant, and you are the individual that has some of the information, and so that's why we want to do what we call this profile. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.